Welcome to our program. Today we have a very important guest. We would like to introduce to you our new Arundel County Executive, Mr. STEUART PITTMAN, who will lead the way forward for the next 4 years, and why not for 4 more years. Mr. PITTMAN is the highest authority in our county, the person who is in charge of all the operations that exist in our community, of all the departments, such as the police department, fire department, Department of Health, social services, aging and disabilities, emergency management, among others. In some of our previous episodes, we had the opportunity to present to our audience his photography and that of his family, his wife and twin boys. But before starting with our formal interview, Sergio, and as we always do, we would like to ask you some personal questions.
Personal?
Yes.
Okay. Bienvenido.
Okay.
Tell us something about you. Where were you born? Do you have any siblings? What did you do before entering politics?
Yo soy de Anne Arundel County.
Oh, speak Spanish!
¿Por qué
Very
no?
good, very good, very good.
Welcome.
Y yo fui un entrenador de caballos, ¿sí?
Okay.
Y también organizador de comunidades.
Yes.
Sí, sí.
En
Chicago.
Chicago.
Y también en Iowa.
Iowa. Wow.
Sí, sí. Oh boy. No, okay, now
For,
English.
for how many years?
So, for 9 years, 9 años en organizing, community organizing, and after college. En la Universidad de Chicago, my major was Latin American Studies.
Okay.
So, and I was in Chicago in Puerto Rican neighborhood on the west side first, and then in the south side of Chicago, public housing project, where there was terrible conditions, hazardous waste landfill nearby, and the neighborhood needed to come together and stand up for their rights, close the hazardous waste landfill, and all of that work was to empower the communities and for jobs, for housing, and always communities that were low and moderate income. So, and I came back to be close to my family when my daughter was born. My daughter is now 29 years old. And she lives in Los Angeles now.
Then you have 3 kids. You have your girl.
I have the 2 twin boys.
2 twin boys.
9 years old. And then I have an older daughter. Yes.
And she lives in, you mentioned, in California.
In California.
Yeah. Then community organizing those 9 years and came back?
Well, I came back when my daughter was born to be closer to my family. And I worked for the National Low Income Housing Coalition in Washington, D.C., helping all across the country for housing. And then I worked again, the organization I worked for, I came back to doing national campaigns, all political, and then I gave up. And I wanted to become a farmer. Okay. And I had grown up on the farm in South Anne Arundel County near Davidsonville. And
where you have your family ranch?
My family,
your family ranch or?
Yeah, ranch or farm.
Or farm.
Yeah. And so I loved horses. I was good at training horses. And so I started a business to bring horses from the racetrack and train them for second careers. They retire when they're very young after they race, and they need a new job. And so I did that, and then I started a national nonprofit organization to encourage people all across the country to do the same work, to give the horses a second career. Same thing we do with people when the factory closes down or the
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was the main thing that made you come back and said, I'm going to run for county executive?
Well,
because it looks like that is a very crazy idea.
yeah, not a politician. Never.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was back here in the county for 20 years before I ran.
You were getting ready for...
I was not thinking that I was getting ready. My
But
wife
now-
said, if you ever run for office, I will divorce you.
Oh,
She wasn't
oh.
serious, but
No,
and
it's a serious matter.
it is a serious, yeah, big decision. And I like to be on the outside. I like to tell the government what to do. I like community organizing much, that I always thought that's what I wanted to do. And then I felt that I saw that when you're on the inside and you have power, you have that position, you can get a lot more done to help people. You can do a lot. And the election in 2016, I did not like the outcome, the national election. Donald Trump was elected. My wife said to me, we have to do something. I said, elections matter, politics matter. The decisions that they make, that the politicians make, are life and death decisions.
That's true.
The moment that I decided that I needed to do this, I was driving my son to the hospital, and he had a stomach ache, but we thought maybe he needed surgery. It was very bad. He was screaming in the back. And I thought, as I was driving to the hospital, what if I had no health insurance? There are hundreds of thousands of people with no health insurance, and there are people in politics who are trying to take it away. It was
And
the
they're
time.
making decisions.
Yeah.
Those decisions are
People's
life and
lives.
death decisions. And if I have the ability to win a campaign and get into public office where I can help thousands and thousands of people, that's my obligation. So.
Great. And another question is, with your previous experience as a community organizer, especially in Chicago and Iowa, what are the biggest challenges that you and your transition teams have identified so far?
Well, I think these challenges would be, doesn't matter if I was a community organizer or anything, but my solutions might be affected by the fact that I was a community organizer. So I see the problems as, in this county, development has been reckless, I think.
Yeah.
The places where we have new housing and the way it's been done, I think, has not been planned well. And so we have traffic, we have overcrowded schools, we haven't kept up with the growth in the population. And but for me, what matters is the people. It comes down to the people. And so in order to make change, in order to serve the people of this county, I think the best thing that we can do is coming back to what I used to do, is community organizing, is bringing people together to have a voice. Because even if I want to change something, sometimes I need the community to ask for the change. And so I've seen that happening in Anne Arundel County. There are groups of people that are well organized. Sometimes it's a neighborhood, sometimes it's a group of people who are all in the same business. Chamber of Commerce is a community organizer.
Yeah.
There are lots of Latino organizations. There are organizations that identify themselves by their hobbies. And if they come together and organize, they can make good things happen. And so part of what we're doing is trying to encourage people to get engaged with the government.
And it's interesting because this is the way that I see it. I was a community organizer quite a few years ago here in Anne Arundel County. You also have the answers. Not only as a politician, looking at the problems, but you as a community organizer with your experience, you know that what the possible responses could be, and also responses that are coming from the community, not from the politicians.
Yes. And I know that if I don't have the answers, I know who has the answers.
Exactly.
It's the people in the community. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Another question. We talk about problems. What are the most important problems that you found here so far through the transition groups that they were working, helping you?
One big one, and I have not talked in the campaign a lot about this, but it's health. And we see it in drug addiction sometimes, and opioids is the big one that people see. But there are so many health issues. And we have a Department of Health. We have had 12 or 10, I think, different heads of that department in 10 years. So lots of turnover. We need to get new leadership, and we need to get a vision for all the things that we can do for community health, and focus the services in neighborhoods, especially the neighborhoods where people have the greatest need. And I think this is something that Democrats and Republicans agree on, and there's more funding coming out of Washington now for program, because if we become more healthy, then it lowers the costs at the hospitals.
Correct.
People go to the emergency room because they don't have a doctor and health insurance.
Correct.
And
it costs almost triple.
it costs much more. Yeah. So there are lots of health issues, and I think that there are things that we can do that are community-based there. And housing is a big one also. That in our county, the cost of housing has gone up very fast.
And Arundel is very expensive, by the way.
Yeah, it's very expensive. But the jobs that we're producing, lots of them, you can't live here. So we want to make sure that if you work here, you can live here. And so there are things that we can do with affordable housing, workforce housing, that we have not done in the past. So.
And I hope that we can see the difference, because I've been working in the county for 25 years, and housing is always a situation, always a problem.
It comes last, yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
What are the positive things that you found here in this county so far?
Well, first of all, I think that the county has been run pretty well, the budget. I know people who get elected to office and they find out that, well, for the city of Annapolis, for instance, when Gavin Buckley came in, he looked at the budget and it was in bad shape. And there were problems and not well run. In Anne Arundel County, the budget office has been doing a good job, I think. You know, if we want to do things, we need to create revenue for it, but we're not broke. We're doing okay. But the best thing about Anne Arundel County that I've seen, and I saw this during the campaign, was the people are doing so many good things through churches, through community organizations, and the more I learn, the more impressed I am, and also through government. You know, a lot of us think, government workers are lazy and government is inefficient, and you know, there's always inefficiencies and there are always ways to make it better, but I've been very impressed by the department heads. We've been going around to the different agencies and getting briefed on the work that they're doing. And we have some very hard-working, committed people. Well, the two of you both working, and you know, who really want to make the communities a better place.
Yes, definitely. And the motto of your government is Anne Arundel County the best.
Yeah, the best place.
The best place.
The best place.
The best place. So, what makes Anne Arundel the best place for us or families?
Well, we have to make it the best place. Okay. So yes, it probably is the best place because it's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
we have 533 miles of coast and the water. We still have trees.
Yeah.
We still have open space, and we have parks that are wonderful for people to go in. We have the B&A Trail. We have some farmland in South County. We have jobs in this county. We have a good economy. And that's why people want to come here. So it is the best place, but it's also, that's what we must aspire to, is to make sure that it remains the best place and is even better. And so that's everything. And the old motto of the county, I think every county executive gets to make a motto.
Yeah,
it was the best place to live, work, and start a business.
In Maryland.
Yeah, in Maryland. And I was thinking, well, there must be, you know, how can we change that? I like that, but it should be the best place to hike, or the best place to be a tree or a fish, or the best place for everything. And the only way to do that and include everything was to take off all the rest and just say, we're the best place.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. No, it
has a ring to it, you know?
It's very important now. Very important for us as a community. Be a part
pride.
of this. Yeah. Be part of this progress.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we are going to our next topic, which is a very hot topic, the 287G. But something that I'm thinking is because of our work for so many years with the Hispanic community, and in relation with the immigration and ICE and undocumented, that word illegals, which I don't like and I never use. I'm Anne Arundel County was always different in that aspect in relation to Prince George's or to Montgomery County or to some other counties, because that's my personal perception. I believe that we took care of our immigrant community here through the police department, for instance. And talking about the 287G, which I know that it's a big issue, and we are still listening and hearing to people about this. Your decision to terminate the contract, the federal contract with ICE. Do you think that we are still going to continue hearing about from the people, from the public, about this 287G and the police department, and they think that they're both the same, and the police department is doing the same job as ICE do, even when everybody's saying, no, sir?
Yeah. No, I don't think that we will be talking about this in 6 months.
Glad to hear that.
287G was, we never had this in Anne Arundel County. Only 2 counties had it in Maryland.
Yeah.
And it was brought in a year ago as an idea, and they started this contract, and a lot of people didn't like the idea. 1 year later, we end the contract. People are going to forget all about it, I think. It's going to be over. What won't be over is that there are people who don't like change, and they feel...
Or are afraid of change.
Or afraid of change. And immigration has always been, in this country, in most countries, in Europe it's the same way. There have been people who are more welcoming and people who are less welcoming, people more open, people less open, and the pendulum swings in politics. So Ronald Reagan, even he's a Republican, created amnesty for people who were living here and working here and had families here, and made people who were undocumented documented. I think nobody likes it when people are undocumented. Nobody wants to be undocumented. People want to be within the system. They want to have papers. They want to pay their taxes. They want to do everything that you do as an American when they're here. But we're making it impossible to do that. And that's not a county issue. That's Congress. And even John McCain, another Republican, had immigration reform. He couldn't even get it to the floor, even though he had the votes in Congress, because of the politics. And now the politics are worse. That Donald Trump has made it sound like immigrants are criminals. And he's used that language, and that's divided people. And what I think is interesting is in Anne Arundel County, they tried that. In this election, they tried that. They said to the voters that Stuart Pittman, Jerry Walker, Amanda Fiedler, these last 2 are Republicans. I'm a Democrat. Some of the other Democrats, there were political consultants that were putting out mailers saying, these people, the moderate Republicans and the Democrats, are going to be soft on MS-13. They're going to create a sanctuary. They're going to end 287G. They're going to ruin our communities. And over immigration. It backfired. They all lost the election. So my hope is that it will backfire in the future in this country as well, and that people will finally realize that let's have our elections based on things like jobs and housing and things, especially at the local level, things that we can control.
And think that thanks to your guidance, and that is something that we hope is to continue the good job with the Hispanic community and show the goodness of the people, to show the immigrant community that we have here is a community that wants to work, wants to live, safely, and want to stay. That is what we want to show.
Yeah.
Because personally, I'm tired of hearing, immigrant correlates to illegal, undocumented crime. We are not that.
And unfortunately
we are not that.
It's just that for some reason, just the word immigrant or illegal or whatever other word, they just refer to the Hispanics as a target. You know what I mean? And this is a diversity country, a diversity county, where we have the greatest population, in every school, it's kids for different countries. It's this mix
Yep.
makes interesting to be part of it, you know?
And it's a wonderful thing. In my family, it's a wonderful thing. My sister went to Argentina and married an Argentinian. He was a labor leader from the Metal Workers Union. And she lived there for close to 10 years, or maybe more than 10 years, had 3 daughters in Argentina. She ended up coming back. 2 of her daughters live there now. My mother's first great-grandchild was born in Argentina. And we would love for her to come up and move here. So that we can have the granddaughter here. The father speaks no English, and he would have to be brought into this community, and we want to welcome him the way we welcome him into our family.
Yeah.
And
The same way that they were going to welcome you if you go there.
Yes, this exactly in the way we
Yeah.
like to, because in my country, if you are over there, nobody is stranger. You know what I mean? People there are happy to see new faces, and they serve you food, and you know what I mean. And everybody's happy to see a new friend, a new faces.
Yeah.
So that's something about it. And think about all this relation that we are creating, or you will start creating with your community. What are your plans or your ideas for our community?
well, it's because I'm a community organizer. I want to listen to the community. So
And we're planning to help you to organize a group of people to come to you and have a nice roundtable discussion with you.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Yeah, I mean, that is the way I want to do it. And I mean, you're both working in the county, so you know, and you have a lot of good ideas, and I'm glad that what you want to do is bring in more people.
Yes.
There are good organizations in this county. Centro de Ayuda is one, and the other one you were
Hola.
Cola?
Hola.
Hola, right.
Hola.
Yep. And
OHLA.
yeah, and others, and Casa Maryland is another, and they're doing good work, and I want to listen to the organizations.
Yeah, and also the school district, the Arundel school district. They got a lot of bilingual facilitators, and bilingual does not necessarily have to be English, Spanish. There's English and another language, and they are very active with the communities. Every week, you hear from them events and family night, play game, reading night, and Latino night.
Yeah.
All these communities, they are there working. So out there is already communities working with communities, but for the past years, there are lack of connection, you know. And
I have to tell you a statistic, and this is from the 287G program. They had for 1 year, the officers of the county detention were interviewing people when they came into the jail about their immigration status. And 7,000 people get arrested in a year and go to jail. Of those 7,000, 69 of them were undocumented immigrants. That's 1%. 1%.
When you mention the 7,000, is from the county or people who were brought to Anne Arundel to go to the...
No, I'm not even talking about, I'm talking about people who were brought, who were arrested and brought to Jennifer Road to be booked for a crime, not convicted, booked.
Okay.
And that's where they were interviewing people. But so we have a statistic. We know that we're told in Maryland about 4.2% of the population is undocumented immigrants. We figure Anne Arundel County is probably at least that. 4.2% undocumented, only 1% of the crime. So you're 4 times less likely to commit a crime and be brought in if you're an undocumented immigrant. And the other thing about those people that they interviewed, those 69 people that were undocumented, they came from 47 different countries.
yes,
And that's something that is missing in our conversations.
Yeah.
We don't hear that very often.
Yeah,
and I was
all over the world. Yeah.
I remember you and I was with the other group in the other jail when we do the tour, and that was
They're
one of
from
the
all over
questions.
the world.
And that's the topic, unfortunately, that people they have in mind. And as soon as they hear about immigrants, Latinos,
They're only Hispanics, yeah,
it's only
Hispanics or
the
Latinos.
Hispanics.
Yeah.
And they don't have
Well, that's
the
because
other
they talk
side.
about the wall all the time. And
yeah,
and you know where that
Unfortunately.
wall's going, even though most people come in through an
Yeah.
airport. But yeah.
definitely. But it's great to get this information, and our community, or people that are watching at this time, this interview, they get a better idea about who you are and what you plans for your community, and just to let you know you are not by yourself. Our community is with you, and the community is going to supporting step by step to reach our goal at the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're in here together. We are in here together, and we are. If you are successful, we are successful too, and that is what people need to think about when we talk about communities. You know, and Arundel is a beautiful, huge community, and I really love to work here and to be part of this. Your administration, actually.
And the interesting thing I've found in all of this about 287G and the talk about gangs and crime and all of that is in talking to the police department, that's the part of county government that I have found is doing the most work with the community, with immigrant community and all the community. They're closest to the neighbors, to the people. They're working with people on the streets every single day. And I've been surprised at how much respect and trust there is for the police department of Anne Arundel County. And I know they've had to work for that.
You are absolutely right. And the thing is that the people, at least the people that we know, they trust our police. I don't know about Prince George's County, Montgomery County, but in Anne Arundel County, that's the way that it is.
And the police have been very clear, and they had to be clear when they talked about 287G. Chief Altamari keeps saying, I told the county executive, no, we will not participate in deportation. We will not do the work of ICE. We're criminal justice. We do crime. We don't do immigration. Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah, and then is this relation the approach of the community had between the police department and individuals out there. You know, anywhere when they saw a police, they feel that they protecting them. They are not coming here to judge you or to asking for X or Y. You know, and we educate the community. And we tell them about, you know, this you saw Center Street, just a police stop by there. They are not looking for you. Maybe they're looking for information. They want you help them to keep you safe.
And we know some people are coming from countries where that's not the way it works. That the police are the enemy. You know, corrupt.
In many countries, the police work for the government, not for the community.
And that is important of what they call here community policing.
Community policing,
which is really, really important to have, because they are part of the community. They're married, they have kids. You know, it's like everybody else. But that is the work that they do. Mr. Pittman, what will be your message to our Hispanic Latino community, and not only to the Hispanic Latino community, to the immigrant community here in the county?
It's right on the back of your little laptop. It says bienvenidos. That's mi mensaje es bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos.
Great.
Es muy fácil.
Muy fácil. Claro.
We talked with the other day at the last town meeting that you had with regard to the 287G. We spoke with some police officers with regard to assisting them in recruiting more Hispanics, boys and girls, to the police academy, and also for the police department, for the fire department. And we're going to start doing that because I think it's really important to have people from the community, not to be part of the force, which I think it's really important. I think that we are going to have 4 fun more years with you under your guidance, and I think it's going to be just great for
and then another 4 in the top. And then
we're going to be working on that.
We're working on that.
So we really wanted to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I think that it's great that we have you here. We are going to show this interview in English and also to show it in Spanish too. We're going to have a voiceover, and I think it's going to be great for both communities. We have Hispanics that prefer to listen to things in English, and we're giving them the chance through the language access.
Yes, very well.
Plan that we have in the county.
You do both and you learn, I should do the same thing. I should watch it in English and Spanish. And
this is the only way we connect.
This is a great program.
Thank you.
I mean, I've watched it, and
Thank
you
you
do,
so
you
much.
do a very, very
Thank
good
you,
job.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We
And-
do for the community, and that's always we think if nobody else do it,
Yeah.
what next?
Yeah.
So we start with Maria about a year ago, November 2017.
November. We started in November last year.
And we're here, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the community like it because always when we visit any stores and they say, "Hey, I saw you on the show. When is your next show?" You know what I
TV
mean?
star.
So it's nice. It's great to meet them. You know what I mean? Because we're part of them.
Yep. Yeah.
You are always bienvenido. And thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming
very
today.
much.
Muchas
for your time.
gracias.
Thank you. Vamos a unos mensajes.